All of you, welcome back to yet another interview question. So this one is the most common question you will be asked in the industry if you're applying for a smart contract auditor. So they're going to test your fundamentals regarding the overflow and underflow with a specific condition, and that's what we're going to solve this particular problem in this particular interview question. So here you can see this is the question I have right in front of me. Let's try to break down the question, that what it's telling us to do and how we can understand this question properly, because most of you will have this confusion when you sit for interview, and that's what I have personally observed when I took interview for the new developer. So it's always very important that you have to break down the entire question in multiple component, in multiple section, and then try to solve one portion of the question at a time. So here we have the question right in front of me. SafeMath is a commonly used library in Solidity to prevent vulnerability associated with arithmetic operation in the smart contract. So what we take from this particular sentence, that SafeMath is a library which allows us to perform some sort of arithmetical calculation, and this library will allow us to prevent from any kind of attack on the contract. So that's the first thing we can take. Now the second portion of this contract is that in this context of the SafeMath, discuss the significance of the sub function and its rule in the secure contract development. So you have to keep in mind that libraries has a multiple function, but here they are talking about a specific function called sub function. We have to use it to prevent any kind of overflow and underflow. So that's what they have highlighted, to write a small and secure contract. So why it is crucial to use this sub when performing subtraction operation with the unsigned integer UNT256. So they are talking about unsigned integer called UNT256. That's the third portion. The fourth portion is additionally explain the purpose of the error message, SafeMath, and subtraction overflow, and how it's contribute to contract security. Can you provide an example scenario where the absence of the SafeMath in subtraction operation could lead to vulnerability in a smart contract? So what do you have understood from this question? I want you to let me know in the comment section. But so let me give you a high level overview that what they exactly want you to do. So they want you to write a smart contract where you have to give an explanation that how you can use this SafeMath library to prevent an overflow or underflow, and write a smart contract that, and you have to also explain the vulnerability you will face. So this is what we have exactly here. And here I've highlighted few important points which you have to keep in mind to tackle this particular question. So you have to keep the safe subtraction, error message overflow, then we have revert underflow, then consistent with the SafeMath principle, and secure contract development. So these are the few steps which you have to follow to build your contract. So let's try to solve this question practically. So here I have taken my Pragma Solidity version this, and here we have the license identifier. So let me build the library first, because that's what they have mentioned, SafeMath library in Solidity. So I'm going to bring my contract for the library, and this is how the library contract would look like. In that I'm focusing on this particular function, but you have to keep in one thing, that we can have multiple function in the SafeMath library. So here we are focusing on the subtraction, because that's what they have highlighted, that they have to focus, we have to focus on the sub function. So here what I have done, one function we have as an internal function and one function we have as an external function. So what we are doing here is that we are simply calling this function in our contract. It's going to take two number and it's going to pass to our internal function, and that function is going to check. So like we have A and we have B. So here we are checking for a condition that if B is less or equal to A, then we want to allow the user to perform the subtraction. Okay, that's how we generally do the subtraction. We do A from B. So A is 10, B is 5. So when we do the subtraction, it's going to give us the 5. And that's the same thing we have to follow in the smart contract. We don't want our value to be in the negative. So this is the simple function we have. This is the internal function, and this is the function we're going to call it. Now let's write the very first contract. Let's write the contract where we can use this particular library. So this is the simple contract I have written called sub contract, and all I'm doing, I'm using this particular library, and it's a UNT. Again, you have to keep in mind that we are focusing on the unsigned integer 256, and that's what I have taken here. So again, I'm going to receive two variables in this particular function like x and y, and I'm going to pass that information to our library function, and it's going to perform all the calculation, and it's going to give us the result. It can be an error message or it can be the final result after the subtraction. So let's try to deploy this particular contract and let's test this out. So come back here, let's click here, and we have to deploy this particular one. Click on this deploy, Here we have deployed our contract successfully. Let me click on this OK, and I'm going to bring it up so we can see what exactly happening in our logs. Click on this, and here we have this particular function we have created here. So this is the function we are calling. In that we have to pass two variables. So let me show you the first error, that how this particular will help you. So if I will go with, let's say I have 5 and I want to do subtraction with 10. So if you don't use the SafeMath library, this will create a huge problem in the contract. But let me show you the error first, that what error exactly you will get. So if I call this particular function, you can see I will get this particular error, that's subtraction overflow, because this is not allowed in Solidity. You cannot go like in the negative. So that's why we have called this overflow, subtraction overflow. But if I want to do in the opposite direction, like 5, like 10 minus 5, it will give me the result 5. I can also do this call 10 minus 10 is will give me the 0. But you cannot go into negative. And that's comes the overflow or underflow. I hope you guys can understand that what exactly problem we are trying to solve it. So now let me show you the problem will happen if you will not use this particular library. So let me write the second contract. So I'll come back here and I'm going to bring, this is the contract I have. Here I have called this without sub. So what I'm doing here, I have taken a UNT variable, it's 256, and I have assigned a initialize the value. So by default, it's 100. That's the value I have assigned. And here I'm not using that library function. So what I'm doing, I'm taking 1 and I'm simply doing the subtraction. And it's going to give me the new variable. Okay, so let me do that first and let me show you what I mean by that. So I'm going to close this one and I'm going to deploy this particular contract. And let me bring this up so we can see what exactly happening. Let's deploy the contract. So the contract is deployed. Now I can come back here and here you can see we have this particular function. All I have to do is to pass that integer value. So it could be anything, but make sure to pass it less than 100. So if I go with 50, I'll get 50 as an output. So this is fine. This is fine. But the problem will happen when you will try to pass a variable which is out of bigger than this, bigger than 100. So if I pass this bigger than 100, and if I call this particular function, it's going to give me this biggest UNT variable. You don't want this in your function. For example, that if someone's trying to transfer the fund from account A to account B, but that particular user has only 1 token and he try to send 2 token. In that context, what will happen? Like, instead of deducting the fund, you are increasing the fund in his vault address. So this is a really very big problem we have. So this is the problem we are solving using this particular library. I hope you guys can understand the problem, that what exactly happening here and what we are trying to solve. We are trying to solve the underflow. So that's what this particular question want us to do. They want to build our contract library, which include this particular function sub, and we have to use it in the positive way, where we can use this library to prevent any kind of overflow or underflow. And we have also built a contract where we are simply doing the transaction without the library and we can see the vulnerability. So I hope you guys have understood that what exactly happening here and what problem we have solved. So this question is very important if you are into the DeFi segment, where they're going to ask you heavily around the smart contract auditing, where you have to deal with this kind of variable. Sometimes what happened that we build the contract, but we forget this kind of little thing which cause a huge problem. So this one is the very common question you will be asked as a DeFi smart contract auditor. So you have to keep in mind. And that's the only thing I want to cover. You can simply access the complete playlist of this particular interview questions which we are covering. So all you have to do is to come back to the blockchain coder and you can come back here, click on this Solidity interview. Here you will find all the videos. So currently I have uploaded this 2 video and this one is going to be the third one. You can get the question, you can get the code, you can simply watch the video and you can download the code. You can simply ask the question. That's all is provided here. I want you to come and have a look, simply copy and do the experiment, include this in the contract. That will give you a better idea that how to write a secure smart contract. So that's the only thing from my end. If you have any question, any doubt, do let me in the comment section. I'll try to help in that. Have a wonderful day. Bye.